It's me Devneet, and today I welcome you to yet another episode of Automate with Dev. And today we are going to talk on a very interesting topic, which is how to integrate Blue Prism, which is one of the leading RPA solutions, with Google Dialog Flow, which has gained a lot of popularity in terms of chatbot. And this is a very I think a very frequently asked question to me, like when we are talking about Blue Prism, how we will be integrating different chatbot solutions with it. As you know that many vendors are there like UiPath who already have a custom built connector that helps you to provide that connection. But when we talk about Blue Prism or maybe some other software solution where you don't have any pre-built connector or a custom connector, how can we do it from scratch? So it is going to be a very detailed video and you are going to learn a lot of things. So without any further ado, let's just dive into it. So the very first thing that you want to know about, like why we need to integrate chatbots with RPA. So I will just start with a very formal definition, so that, as you know, chatbots are basically used in the service industries to support the customer queries, so the customers can like type some query into the chatbot solution, and the chatbot work is to provide them with a particular like on the fly solution. Okay, so that like they want some resolution, okay, or they want to maybe get some answers, so the chatbot will help them to get that. Whereas when we talk about RPA, it is basically it is used for integrating various systems and to automate manual repetitive tasks that we do in our day-to-day lives. So now when we talk about integration of chatbots with RPA, the very first thing to know is like how does the two technologies mesh together. So the answer to this is very simple. So just assume that you have some kind of a task which is like can be broken down into n number of steps. We can simply like ask the chatbot to particularly process that particular information, and the chat and the RPA solution can be triggered via the chatbot at the backend to help automate that particular task and give us a desired result. So we can, like, you can think of it like with various examples, like let's say if we want to recharge maybe our like maybe let's say a very small task, like we want to recharge some amount in our for our mobile phone. Okay, so we can like simply go ahead, provide our phone number, the operator for which our like who has provided us the sim, and then maybe we can provide them with some particular amount, and then it might happen like a chat like a RPA process can be triggered at the back end, and it can help us to make that recharge, like log in into that particular application, maybe like Paytm, and do all the processing for our given phone numbers and things like that. So like there are multiple things that you can think of. You can even ask a chatbot to maybe provide the weather details for a particular city. So what it can do is it can invoke like a RPA process at the backend, and that RPA process can help you to get the desired information, like what is the temperature, maybe like what is the weather condition for that particular city. So there are a lot of like solutions that you can think of, and this is how the chatbots are basically integrated with any RPA solution. From an enterprise scale also, maybe you can use chatbots to maybe like raise a query in ServiceNow. So you can have maybe a backend process which can go ahead, log in into ServiceNow, raise a ticket, and after raising that ticket, it can also go ahead and it can categorize that ticket. If you embed some kind of a machine learning algorithm on top of it to categorize it, to classify it, like what kind of a severity of that ticket is, what is the kind of the category it belongs to, and then it can go ahead and assign that ticket to the respective team. So there are a lot of applications that you can think of when we talk about integration of chatbots with RPA. So now let us see how Blue Prism and Google Dialog Flow integration architecture will look like, because we are specifically going to focus on that. So here if you see, there is a very basic architecture that we have drawn for our Blue Prism process with Google Dialog Flow. So here the very first thing is like there will be a human user who will type his query into the chatbot interface. The next thing is that the chatbot will decide on the response, like it will decide that what is the particular query that the human has given. So there will be some there will be some intents and there will be some entities. So we will come across those concepts. So using intent, it will try to figure out what kind of an intention that user has, and as we train the chatbot model, it can go ahead, it can have two things. It can directly answer that particular user with a predefined response that we might embed into our model, or it can go ahead and it can invoke a RPA process at the back end. So we can have some kind of a fulfillment, and in that fulfillment we can use some webhook concept. So that webhook will be basically something that will be sent out to that to a particular chatbot RPA connector bridge. Now the thing is, this bridge component that you see, okay, this is a very important thing here, because if you talk about any other RPA solutions like UiPath, they have we have seen that for Druid, for maybe for Dialogflow as well, they have a particular kind of an interface which where you just need to provide the details of your orchestrator, and you need to provide the details of that particular Dialogflow instance, and it can just simply connect both of them. But when we talk about maybe like, let's say we don't have anything with us, so then what needs to be done? So we need to create this particular component. So this component, it will take the incoming webhook request, which might be in a JSON format. It will break that JSON format into a meaningful information, and then it is going to invoke a particular, it is going to trigger, I would say, a particular RPA process that is exposed. So in our Blue Prism, we can have processes that can be exposed as SOAP API calls. So what it will do is it will simply send that SOAP API call to the particular Blue Prism process, and it can have some parameters, it might not have some parameters. So here basically you can see that the Blue Prism bots will process that particular transaction, and once the processing has been completed, the Blue Prism bot can send back a particular response to that chatbot connector bridge that we have created. Okay, so here whatever talking or the communication happens between your chatbot interface and your Blue Prism RPA bots, it happens via a particular connector bridge. Now this connector bridge is usually hosted on a cloud service. We are going to see on an enterprise scale how does this actually look like. Okay, so whenever, like, let's say that particular connector bridge that has been hosted gets a particular response from your Blue Prism bots, it is going to decode that particular response, that particular response that it got, and then it is in turn going to send another response to our chatbot interface again. So now here, whatever the chatbot interface will get that response, it will simply show that response to the user. So like this, a particular kind of a communication happens between your chatbot interface to your connector bridge that has been hosted over a cloud solution, and then it goes, and that communication goes to your Blue Prism processes, and from there again the response will go back to your connector bridge, and via that connector bridge it will again come back to the chatbot interface, which the user can read. So this is the entire flow how it works. Okay, so now let's talk a bit about the Google Dialog Flow interface. So when we see the Google Dialog Flow interface, you can see the interface has a lot of components like intents, entities, fulfillment, and we are going to see how to create each one of them in very much details. But before diving into a practical implementation, just get to know what are intents and entities on a very high level. So when we talk about intents, intent will basically categorize a end user intention for a conversation. So it can be like, you can imagine, like, what is the size of the cake? Like, I want to order maybe a large size of cake. So here you see this we can like basically say that, okay, this is a particular kind of an intention that the user has, like he wants to order a cake. Now here, if we talk about entities are like the parameters that we can get out of that particular expression that the end user has given. So here if you see, I want to order a large size of cake. So here we can see that large is basically a parameter of size. So it tells us, okay, what size of cake does the customer wants. Here we can also take one more example, like the customer can say, like, I want this cake to be delivered at afternoon. So here afternoon basically is an entity which can tell us, okay, at what particular time do I want to get this cake. So in our example, or the POC that we are going to create, a very simple, I would say a very simple chatbot, which will do nothing, but it will simply just add some, it can add, it can subtract, it can multiply, it can divide different numbers. Okay, so it's basically like a calculator kind of a chatbot, which is a very simple use case. Still, for our, because the main intention of this video is to show you the integration of how it is being done. So you can even create a very complex model on your chatbot instance that you are going to create. So without any further ado, let's deep dive and just see how it works. So I will go here and I will just go to my Dialog Flow instance. Okay, So here I am using Dialog Flow CX. So we have an enterprise solution and we have a community solution. So this Dialog Flow is like, I have created this Dialog Flow for me. Okay, and here if you see, I already have one particular agent created for myself. So I will just create a new agent for me, and I will just name it as a calculation chatbot. Okay, so this is the name that I'm going to give. Okay, and I'm just going to click on the create button. The language seems good to me, it's in English, and I will click on create. So as soon as I click on create, you can see it is saying as working. Okay, so I will just wait for a bit for this agent to get created. So every time whenever you are creating any Dialog Flow instance, so basically in your Dialog Flow instance you need to create an agent. So this agent will comprise of whatever model you are going to develop for that particular chatbot solution. Okay, so here right now it's working. Yes, so if you see, it has been, now it is saying as done. So by default, if you see, there are two intents. So basically every time whenever you create a new agent, you will get a default welcome intent. So if a user types like hi, then some welcome message or some greeting message might come from your chatbot instance directly. Okay, so for now what we will do is we will create a new, we will click on the intents and we will try to create an intent for us, a new intent. Okay, so here we can name the intent maybe like a calculation intent. Okay, so we have created a calculation intent. So here for our use case, we are going to take, first we are going to add some training phrases, so which will help us to see. Okay, so what training phrases I can give? I can write like add one, maybe I can write add 1 and 2. This can be one kind of a training phrase. Okay, so here I will be defining the entities as well. Okay, so before defining the entities, I will just tell you, so here by default it accepts one as a entity and the name of the entity is sys.number. So it is saying that it's a number kind of an entity, which is pretty much right. It's a number kind of an entity. Here what I can do is I can also, like, I simply need to highlight 2 as well, and here it will ask me, okay, what kind of an entity is this? So here also it's a sys.number. So I just gave sys.number for both of them. Okay, so now here is one more entity called as add. Now for add, I don't have an entity. So okay, what I will do is I will create one entity for me. Okay, so before going here, I will just click on save so that I will save whatever I have done till now. Let me go to entities. Okay, and let me create one entity. I will name this entity as maybe type of operation. Yes, so this is an entity that I have like said that it's a type of operation. So here I can like first give what kind of an entity I want. So first will be an add. Okay, now for add I can have add. Okay, this can be one of them. I can have something maybe like addition. Okay, so user can give addition of 2 numbers. I can have summation. So I'm just training my model to get all these synonyms. So whatever synonyms the user gives in the particular expression, it will simply evaluate all of them to add. So add will be like a parameter that I'll be sending to my Blue Prism process. Okay, so okay, I have all of this with me. Now let me also do for subtract. Okay, so for subtract also I will have subtraction. Maybe this can be one of it. Okay, similarly I can have maybe something like difference. Okay, so okay, I have subtraction, difference. I can even put something like a minus, so even that is a possibility. For then I will have something like a multiply. So for multiply also I can have something like a multiplication. I can have something like maybe a product. Okay, so okay, I think it's fine. And similarly for I will have one for divide. For divide I can have something like a division. I can have something for divide I can have something division, something divide. I think let's just keep it for 2 only for now. Okay, so I will just click on save. So my type of operation, like an entity has been created called as type of operation. Now let me go back to my intent. Okay, so I was training my phrases here, right? So in the calculation intent I went, and here for add, if I just try to type of operation, let me see, am I able to find it? So if you see, yes, I got this brand new entity that I just created right now, right? So yeah, it just recognized it as the type of operation. Okay, so like that I have these two things. Okay, so what I can do is I can also create some more expressions. Okay, so let me write addition of 1 and 2. Click on enter. So yeah, 1 and 2 are been recognized. For this one also I can write like type of operation maybe. Okay, so okay, I have something for this. Again, for multiplication maybe I can write multiply 1 and 2. Okay, and here also I can just name it as a type of operation, and similarly I can write product, and let's me try with a product of 1 and 2. So here product can also be recognized as this one. Okay, and let me also try something with a divide. So I can write divide 4 by 7. Maybe this is what I want to give. Just 1 second. Yes. Divide 4 by 7. So here also I can have type of operation here mentioned. Okay, and similarly for subtract, let us have one. Subtract 1 and 9. Okay, so here for subtract as well I can have a type of operation. So for my type of operation I have all my values, and let me just check. Okay, so here I have this result value as add. You can see the result value has become as addition, multiplication, product, divide, subtract. So here let me try one thing and just see. I will write maybe I will write summation of 1 and 7. So right now I'm not getting any response here. Okay, let me just check with the diagnostic info. So with the diagnostic info I am getting nothing as of now. So okay, my numbers are 1 and 7, but I'm not getting any type. Okay, let me just try to save it once. Okay, so here let me I have also, and let me give one thing, maybe like a summation of 1 and 8. And let me again just try to save it, and then again let me try to execute it. Okay. So here if I go to diagnostic info, so yeah, I get my type of operation now as add, if you see, right? So this is getting translated to add, and I have everything set up now. I can say now here in my actions and parameters, okay, here there's a very important thing I need to do. I need to create one action, so that this action is something that I'm going to evaluate. Okay, so I can write this one as calculate numbers. Okay, so this is the name of my action that I will be giving. And I'm just making both of them as a required, so I basically need these two numbers as this, and here I will just give one response as well. So in case nothing is happening, so I will write calculating the numbers. Okay, so this will be a default response that I'll be giving. Okay, now here I have all these things with me, and I have this. Let me save it, and let me now again try to just execute it just to see what kind of a response I will be getting out of it. Now if I go to diagnostic info again, so here type of operation is add, and here my action is also there, that is calculate numbers. Okay, and I have a query text as well, so I have all these parameters with me set up. That seems good to me. Okay, and if you see the default response as well, so the default response is coming as calculating the numbers. So now the result is not coming since we have not integrated our Blue Prism process. So our bot is going to take all these parameters, which are the numbers, the type of operation, and based on that it is going to perform some kind of an operation. Okay, so till here we have done everything that we had with us. Okay, and I think that's fine. So now one very important thing is, like, we have to do one thing, that is the fulfillment. Okay, so we have to enable the fulfillment. So why fulfillment is required is because we are going to integrate it with the chatbot connector. So this is going to send a kind of a webhook. So in order to enable webhooks, I have to click on enable fulfillment, and here I have to click on this part, that is enable webhook call for this intent. So this slider I need to keep as on. Okay, so once I do it, here let me just press on save before going. Yeah, so I've saved it. Now let me go to the fulfillment. So here on the fulfillment I have to enable my webhook. So now in the webhook I can give a URL, the authentication parameters, the headers if I require. So here I just need to give a URL. For now I don't have a particular URL created, so we will be coming to this part at the way like somewhere after a bit. Okay, so currently I would say half of our chatbot part is done and it is completed. So we are now going to jump over to the next part, that is going to be how to create a Blue Prism process to interact with our chatbot. Okay, so now for our Blue Prism process, if I go ahead, so let me open my Blue Prism. Okay, so in my Blue Prism, what I will be doing is I will be creating a process here under my web services automation, and let me create it as a chatbot example. So I am just writing this is a sample process to integrate dialog flow chatbot. Okay, so I have done this. So now I go to my chatbot example. Okay, and here in this chatbot example, what I will be doing is this is my process, this is my start and end. So let me first go ahead and create some data items to hold the values. So one is this data item, one is a second data item I will be creating. So let me name each one of them. So the first data item I will be naming as first number. Okay, and I will keep the data type as a number, and initial values and current value I won't be keeping any one of them. Okay, so this is the first number. Similarly, I will create one more data item called as a second number. So for second number as well, what I will be doing is second number, and here I will be creating a third data item which will be of type text. So this is going to comprise of, I will write type of operation. Okay, so this is going to be a text, and I'm going to click on OK. So okay, I have all these three things with me. So now what I will be doing is I will be just creating a block to surround them. So it just gives me, it helps me to segregate them and organize them properly. So I will just write inputs. Okay, and once I have written them as inputs, let me just go ahead, let me just give them a color of this one. Okay, so now I have type of operation with me, so I have all these inputs that I have created. Okay, now let me also create one more such kind of a block. So this block will be for my outputs. Okay, so I am just going to give them as outputs. Okay, and once I've created this, I will just give it some color, maybe green. And let me do one thing, let me push some data item as well. Okay, and let me again make it to the black color. And here what I will be doing is I will click on data 1, I will just name it as result. Okay, so this will be of a number type, right? So okay, I have my result, I have my inputs, and I have all these operations. Now I have to map them. So in order to make them as parameters, I will double click on my start stage, and once double clicking on start stage, I will get an option for adding the parameters. So I click on add number, second is also a number, the third is a text. So the first one will be first number, the second one will be second number, the last part will be type of operation. Okay, and yeah, so here I have to now create the data items to hold the value, so I will just mapping all of them. So first number, second number, and the type of operation, these three things I have mapped. So you can also give a particular description if you want, so I will just leave it blank for now. So I have done this, and now here also I will double click on end to give a output result parameter, like an output parameter. So it will be, I will click on add, I will just name it as a result. After naming it as a result, I will simply just map this value. So automatically the data type is number now. I can click on OK. So I have mapped everything that I had with me. So now what I will be now doing is, so from here onwards, I can simply go ahead, I can just simply use a choice stage. Okay, and in this choice stage, what I will be doing is, I will be double clicking on the choice stage. I will be naming it as type of operation. Okay, and in the choice name, first choice will be addition, and similarly I will have multiple parts for subtraction, one will be for multiplication, and similarly one will be for division. Okay, and here now I have to give the expression. So the expression will be something very simple, something I would be writing. I will be just showing you. So the very first thing that I want to do is, first let me use a kind of a lower expression. So whatever I am getting in the type of operation, I will be making it as a lower part. Okay, so I just made it as a lower part. Okay, and I am just going to paste it. So this is going to get converted into lowercase in case it is not converted already, and I am just going to name it as maybe add. Okay, so now this particular parameter, how we have to define it, I will now show you. So if I go to my entities, and here if I show you my entities, right, so I have a type of operation that I've created. So if you see these all parameters that are mentioned here, right, this is what is going to be returned in the JSON. So that is what I need to evaluate against. So one is add, one is subtract, one is multiply, one is divide. So same things I will be keeping. So one I have kept as add. I will just click on validate. So expression is valid. I will simply copy it before clicking on OK. So OK, I will just paste these all things, and I will simply just now change the parts. Subtract, multiply, and here I will put it as divide, and I will click on OK. So yeah, my Blue Prism process I think has been created for all these parts. Okay, and in otherwise I can have maybe something as an invalid. Okay, or I can just put some value here again in the otherwise part that will be I can say that I can put some value like -1, which will indicate that okay, no value is present. Now it depends on you how you want to do it. So here I will just link this part, and here after linking it, what I'm going to do is I will just simply click on, I make them to pink, and I will just make them a bit bolder, and here I will be using some calculation stages. Okay, so one calculation stage that I will be using, I can just make it in black. Yes. And here I can just write like double click here and just write perform addition, and this will be first number plus second number, right, and I will just store that result. Okay, so this is the first part that I have done. Similarly, I can go ahead to do it for the next part, that is maybe subtraction. So let me put it this way. Yes, so I will just name it as perform subtraction. Okay, and here I will just store it again into the result. It is fine. So I'm done with this also. Similarly, I will now be putting it here. I will be just providing this one as maybe multiplication. So here I will be just naming it as multiplication. And at the very end, I am just going to provide this one maybe as a division. So here I'm just going to provide a division. I just validate it and it's a valid one. So I have got everything sorted here. So I will just now link all of them just to see if they are properly aligned or not. So this one here I can just align it a bit to this side, and here for multiplication I have something here. For division again I can have something maybe to the side. Yes. So like this I have created like 4 branches, I would say. Okay, now if I want, I can do one more thing. I can arrange it a bit, okay, just to make them look bit proper. So okay, I've just put some spacing in between. Okay, and similarly for division, let me do it here. Yes, take this segment a bit to the side. Okay, so I have all these things with me now. Now what I can do is I can simply go ahead, put some anchor stages. Okay, and let me just put it here as well. Okay, and also for otherwise, if I'm getting an otherwise part, right, I will be just setting up a value, or maybe if I will just write like set -1. So if I am getting something, I'm just setting it as a -1, though I will. So this is just I'm doing for my just for a purpose, not required really. So okay, so I'm just doing it right now with this. Okay, so here you can even have maybe a message component, and you can just give an exception message also if you want. So just for the demo sake, I am not going till that much of an extent. Yeah, so that's the only reason. So here I have put all of them, and I have basically created a end-to-end Blue Prism process to perform all the multiplication, addition, subtraction, and division part. If I want to just test it before going ahead, I will just simply click on set next stage. Currently I don't have anything here, so let me just put some values. Let me put something maybe like maybe like a divide, maybe. Okay. So currently the second number and first number also I need to make. So let me give it maybe something like a 10, and let me give the first number maybe something like a 500. Okay. So now let me just see where it goes. So it went to the division part, it divided, and the result is 50, and that is what will be returned to me. So I think my process is done. So now at this particular point of time, I am done with my process. Now as a part of this process, I will be needing one thing, and that is I want to create an alert for it. The alert stage, I will be basically creating alerts for this particular process, so that I get notified whenever my process is being run. So whenever my chatbot will be triggering this process, I want some kind of a notification. So for that, the very first thing I need to do is I need to double click here. Okay, so this is an optional step, okay, that you can do. So here I will be going, and I will be publishing, I will be clicking on this particular part that has published this process to the control room, because I can only create alerts for any process that I have published. So I will be clicking on OK. So once I have clicked on OK, you will be seeing a particular tick mark once it has been published. Okay, so here I am seeing a green color tick mark, if you see. Okay, and now what I will be doing is I will be clicking on save, and I will just write that process has been published. Okay, so I have this part ready with me, so I will just close it. Now in order to create an alert, let me show you there are few steps that we need to do. First I need to go to system. Under system, I first need to go to my security, and under security I need to get to users. So in the users, I have two particular users under me. I will be basically showing you everything using admin account only. So, but you can create a new account, and once you have created a new account, from your administrator account, you need to set up whatever I am going to show you. So currently I am logged in as my admin user. So here what you need to do is you need to go to that particular profile, you need to double click there. So once you double click, there is a roles and permission. Under there you will be seeing all the permissions that are there. So under the permissions, you need to ensure that your process alerts are checked. So there is a configure process alert, so I will be just showing you that. Okay, so there is a configure process alert, there is a subscribe to process alert. Both of them should be checked. Okay, so once they are checked, I will be just clicking on OK. And once I click on OK, the next thing that I need to do is I will be clicking on this hamburger symbol that you see. So before doing that, select the particular user for which you want to set up the alerts. So for, let's say for my admin, I'm going to set my alert. So I will be highlighting my admin part. So I'll just do a single click there. So it is highlighted, and you can even see all the information once it's highlighted. I will click on the hamburger sign. There's a configure process alert. I will be clicking there. So once I click here, okay, so if you see, it will be showing me all the processes that are published currently. So for my part, I think I had something called as a chatbot example. So I will just check this. Once I check this, there are notification methods. So I want maybe a pop-up alert. I want to play a sound. I want a taskbar icon as well. I don't want to see the history maybe. And for what particular parts do I need to do? So now here there are, like, if your process is in pending stage or running stage, you can have an alert. If you're using alert stages, you can simply use this stage, and it will, if the alert stage has been done, then it will give you. So for us, we need only to be notified if our process is successfully completed, if it has been stopped maybe, and if it has failed due to some exception. So I will just mark all these things, and I will click on apply. And once I click on apply, I will click on OK. Once I have done this, so I have basically configured all my alerts, but now I also need to enable the alert flag mechanism for my runtime resource. So to do that, okay, there's a very simple thing you need to do. You need to go to CMD. So once you go to CMD, okay, here I need to go to CD, and here I need to go to my Blue Prism installation folder. So let me show you. In my case, if I go to C drive, if I go to program files, Blue Prism Limited and Blue Prism Automate. Okay, so I will copy this particular path. Okay, and I will just paste it here. So here I need to write this command automate, and after automate I need to write alerts. Okay, and then I can either write SSO. So SSO will be if your single sign-on is used. In my case, I'm not using an SSO, so I will write user. So after user, I need to give my username. So that is my username, and I will be providing my password. So okay, so I have now my alerts are on. Okay, for the process right now. So okay, whenever I run my process, I should be getting some kind of alerts basically. Okay, so I have just configured it. So now once your alerts have been configured successfully, the next step that we are going to do is we are now going to expose our process as an API. Okay, so to do that, if you go to your processes, there is an exposure. Now again, to see this particular option, you need a particular permission. So if you are not seeing this, so from the administrator account, you would require to double click here. You need to go to the roles and permissions. Okay, so here if you go, I will be just showing you that. So here under the process, here under system manager, if you go, so there are two things that you will be seeing. Okay, so one is a business objects exposure that you need to check, and one is a processes exposure that you need to check. So if you are checking both of them, only you will be able to see this option. Okay, so for me, I have already everything done under my system administrator account. I will click on cancel. Okay, and once I've done this, I will go to exposure in my processes. So now under exposure, okay, I already had one process, but I don't have the current process. My current process name is Chatbot example. So what I will do is I will go to expose a process. So if you see here, we have an expose a process option. So I will just click there, and once I click there, I will be asked to select that process which I need to expose. So in my case, it is chatbot example. I will click on next. So it will ask me what kind of a name you want this process to have. So in my example, let me have it as a maybe a chatbot, a calculation chatbot. Calculation chatbot. Okay, so this is what I will be having for me. These two things I won't be requiring, so I will just simply leave them, and I will just simply click on finish. So once I click on finish, you should be able to now see this chatbot example also appearing here under your expose processes. Okay, so I already have it exposed. Now to check if it has been exposed or not, okay, I will go to my particular Microsoft Edge or any browser that you're using. Here I will be writing localhost, and I have to write localhost, the port number. So for me, my Blue Prism processes are on 8181 port, which is a default port. And if I am having everything set up on my local host machine as a part of this training, license, and then I have this like a /ws. So this is basically for the web services that you have. So you need to provide your BP. So in case if you have a Blue Prism server, application server, you need to provide the app server address is to the port, like after that a colon and the port number on which it is exposed, and then you have to provide a like a separate, like one / with a WS, which is for web services. So once I have given this, I will click on enter. And sorry, I also need to provide one more ending slash. I didn't provide it. Yeah, so you have to provide 2 / So once I do this, yeah, now you will be seeing what processes I have under me. So for me, you can now see calculation chatbot is also one of the process. So now here you can see my machine ID is already by default, this domain name has been provided. Now instead of this, you can also provide localhost, that will also work. Okay, so what I need to do is now I need to test it, like if this SOAP call is working or not. So what I can do is I can click on this. Okay, now I will be clicking on this. So once I click on this, okay, you will be seeing a Wizdler. Now this is what a SOAP API Wizdler looks like. Now for every SOAP API call, you need a schema. So this web service schema is called as a Wizdler file. So this Wizdler file has been created. Now for any SOAP call, you need to have an envelope or a body which you need to create. So for creating an envelope or a body, you can do it manually or by using any of the I would say some kind of application like SOAP UI, or you can use Wizdler. So I use Wizdler for my processes. So what is Wizdler? Let me show you. So you can go ahead and you can just go to Google. Okay, under Google you can just type something like, maybe I will just show you. So I can go to Google and I can just type here Wizdler, Wizdler. Okay, so once you type Wizdler, so basically it's an extension that you will get. Okay, so you can go to your Chrome web store, and upon clicking on the Chrome web store Wizdler, what you can do is you can simply go ahead and you can simply just install it. So I actually already have Wizdler installed on my machine. So you are seeing I am getting an uninstall option. So you just need to install this extension. So once you install this extension, so at the very top corner you will get something like this. Okay, so I have like a browse Wizdler option coming, right? So this option you will be getting, this extension you will be getting at the very top. So what I can do is I can go back to the Wizdler file. So once you are on this screen where your Wizdler schema is being shown, what I can do is I can click here at the right hand side. So here you see this kind of an option opens up. So it shows me a particular eraser symbol, and where it is asking me to click on it, like I can click on this link. So once I click here, okay, so you can see automatically for me what happened is, like a particular post method has been created with an endpoint, and I am having a kind of a body created also. A body has been generated for me. So here I simply need to just replace the parameters. So let's say I want to add 1 and I want to add 2, and let's say my type of operation should be maybe subtract, not subtract, let us keep it as a multiply maybe. Okay, so once I have everything done here, what I can do is I can simply go ahead, I can click on this go button that you will be seeing at the very top right hand side. Okay, so once I click on go, I will be asked for a username and password. So my Blue Prism username and password I will be giving, and I will be clicking enter. Okay. So once I do this, okay, a Blue Prism alert I got, and if you see here, I am getting something like my result. So my result is, as of now, I'm getting my result as 2. So this is a response that I got. Okay, so this is how you can test your process using Wizdler. Same thing can also be tested using Postman, and I will be just showing you that optional step as well if you want to test it using Postman. So once I am in my Postman, it will take a while to load. So let me go back one step. Okay, so while I was here, let me try to navigate to that Wizdler. Yeah, so let me try. I have navigated to that Wizdler interface where I replaced all the values. So what I can do is I can copy this particular endpoint URL. I can simply click on copy. Like I told you, I can also use localhost instead of my like qualified domain name. So I can also use the localhost here if I want. So let me show you in my Postman. Okay, if I go, just 1 second. Okay, so I am in my Postman now. Okay, and in my Postman, if I go to maybe calculations, okay, and if I try to create so my collections, and if I try to create a new collection here, okay, so I can do that. I can write is like test chatbot. Okay, so this is the new collection that I have created, and under this collection, if I go ahead, I can add a request. So now this request should be of a post, and the URL that I've copied from Wizdler, I can put it here. Here instead of this, I can also try to use localhost if I want. Okay, and after that, I just need to provide an authorization as well. Under the authorization, I can use basic auth. Under basic auth, I can go ahead and provide my Blue Prism admin like a username and password. Then I can go to my body. Now under body, I can go to raw, and after selecting raw, I can go to XML. Now here I need to provide that XML body. So for me, Wizdler already has created that. I will simply just copy that. Okay, and under Postman, I will just pasting it, and here I can just type 1, and here I can type 2. So the benefit that you get by using Wizdler is that Wizdler will automatically generate this body for you, so you don't need to worry much on that front. So once I have done all of this, okay, let me just go ahead. Yeah. So once I have been done, I will be just clicking on send. So now if you see, I'm getting my result as 3 at the response side, right? So here I'm getting my result as 3. So yeah, so far it looks good to me, and yes, I am able to get all my results even from the Blue Prism process. So far we have seen how we are going to create a Blue Prism process. We are going to expose that process as like an API or a web service, and we have also seen the part of Google Dialog Flow where we have created a chatbot. Now comes the fun part, how to integrate it. Now before diving into the integration part, okay, let me show you how that architecture is going to look like. So when we talk about a normal architecture, your Google Dialog Flow is basically accessible to your Google Cloud Platform domain that is in your organization. Okay, so basically it is accessible within your organization. When you deploy it, so you can deploy it on Facebook, on Telegram, on Line, on Slack. Many platforms are there, and this is basically accessible to all the public IPs which are configured. So basically, the end user might use such kind of a platform to go ahead and interact with the chatbot. That request or response, that request that basically the end user will be typing into that particular that particular chatbot interface, it will go to Dialog Flow. From Dialog Flow, again, that particular request or response, if you have enabled the fulfillment for that, so it will go ahead, it will go to your, I would say, that chatbot connector bridge. So this chatbot connector bridge will be hosted over some kind of a solution like GCP, AWS, Azure, or Heroku. And from there, what you can do is like once that chatbot server receives your incoming webhook, it can then go ahead and it can then invoke your SOAP API call. So to invoke that SOAP API call, again your Blue Prism server port access should be given to that particular domain for the Heroku part. So this also should be on a particular server which is accessible to your cloud server. Okay, so if these two things are accessible in between, then only your SOAP API calls will work. In our case, we can't go with such an architecture, since in my case all my Blue Prism client machines and everything is hosted on a local machine. So to me, even if I create, let's say, a chatbot connector, and if I host it on any of these services, I won't be able to have a connection between my Blue Prism server and my chatbot connector. So what I am going to do, I will now show you. Now, as a part of this proof of concept, I am not going to deploy this chatbot over any of the platform like Facebook, Slack, Line, or any other application. Okay, what I will be doing is I will be just keeping it accessible to my GCP domain for now. And after that, what I will be doing is I will be creating a chatbot connector. Now, this chatbot connector can be created using any server-side language like Python. You can use Node.js or PHP. For my case, I will be using Python. I will be using a Python package called as Flask. So in my Flask, what I will be doing is I'll be creating a code. So that my Flask code will be hosted basically over my local machine, and it will be at port 5000. So once this chatbot connector has been created, right? So what will I do is I will create a tunnel. So this tunnel will expose my local machine network to the I would say to HTTPS, or that is the internet. So basically this tunneling service called as NGROK. This NGROK will be used to create that connection for me with the dialog flow. So this will basically expose my local machine at this particular port 5000. And my dialog flow will be doing is it will be interacting with this particular Flask application that I have created. So once it receives any incoming requests, it will simply go ahead and it will simply call my Blue Prism runtime resources, which are hosted at 8181 again at my local machine. So you see everything is in my local machine. So the connection between my chatbot connector and my Blue Prism won't be an issue, since both of them are accessible within my local machine. If I would have gone with an enterprise architecture, all of these things would have been in a separate server. So all that access needs to be in proper place in order to do a particular enterprise kind of an deployment. So I have given you an idea. Even in your companies, if you are going to implement some kind of a solution like this, how you are going to do it. So you will be basically having different virtual machines. You will be having having one different application server. So you need to go ahead and you need to configure your ports, and you have to whitelist the domains so that the particular cloud platform where you are hosting your chatbot connector is actually accessible to the particular application server that you are using. Okay. So now I will be just showing you some of the basic main concepts why we are going to create a chatbot connector. Like I told you, like UiPath already used to have one chatbot interface for dialog flow. Now they will be deprecating the service after October 2021. They also have a chatbot connector for Druid now, so that you can use. But again, for many vendors, you won't be finding any chatbot connectors. So at that kind of a stage, you need to go with this kind of an approach. Okay. And from a working perspective, working of a chatbot connector, we have discussed how what are the different steps. So you will be seeing, I will be creating a Flask server. So the very first step would be to create to fetch the incoming webhook request whenever that fulfillment will be coming from my dialog flow. Once that has come in form of a JSON, I will be decoding the parameters, and then I will be making a SOAP API call to my Blue Prism process that I've exposed. So right now you see we're using Wizdler and Postman. I'm able to make that call, right? So once all of that is in place, after that I will be trying to get the response back from my Blue Prism process. And once I have got that response, I will be decoding the response to get any output parameter if required. Okay, so in this, the only tricky part is my dialog flow response that I will be getting is in a JSON format, but the Blue Prism response that I will be getting will be an XML format. So I need to pass that XML structure, and once I pass that XML structure, I need to send back that response to my Dialog Flow chatbot instance in form of again a JSON. Okay, so there are a lot of parts that are there. Okay, and we need to decode everything one by one. Okay, so without any further ado, let's see how we can create our own chatbot connector. Okay, so for that I will be going to my PyCharm. Okay, and I will be creating a new project. So this project I will be creating here, and I will be just naming it as maybe my chatbot calculation chatbot. Let us name it as a calculation chatbot. Okay, and once I have created this, I can use some kind of a Python. Yeah, let me use Python 37. And once I have done this, I can create a main.py file if I want. We can create a main.py, there's no issue. Let me try to create it. Okay, and let me try to open it in this window only. Okay, so it is creating a virtual environment for me, and a Python interpreter is now also in place. So if you see, by default I am having some of the parts with me. Okay, so I will be using some of the parts and I won't be using the rest. Okay, so let's see how we will be going. So I will be just using this part with me for now. Okay. So the very first thing I need to do is, in order to create any kind of a, I would say, a localhost server, I will be first requiring a library called as Flask. So I will be first writing import. Okay, and then I will write I can write like I will write like this, from, okay, Flask. So Flask is my library. From this library I will be importing two classes. One class will be called as a Flask, and then I will be using requests. Okay, so I will be using these two things. So here, once as soon as I do this, right, I get a option. So let me resolve this. So it is asking me to install the package called as Flask. So let me just show you a bit. So here, if I hover over this, a second. So here, once I used to hover over it, I was getting error like I need to install the package called as Flask. Okay, now in order to install Flask, what I can do is I can go to Python packages, okay, at the bottom, and here I can just type as Flask. Okay, so here I am getting a Flask option. I will just click on install. Okay, so it is right now installing it. So now the Flask has been installed for me. Yes, let me just check it once. Yes, so now if you see, the error is gone, right? I don't have any error. So the very first thing was to import Flask for me. Okay, so now once I have Flask, what I need to do is I need to create an app. So this app variable or an object that I'm creating will be using my Flask class, and here I will be just writing Flask __ name. So this is the convention that we use for creating any app instance. So once I have created this, okay, I need to call it in my main function. So here what I will be do is, if my __ name __ is equal to main. So if I'm calling my main function, in that case what I need to do is I need to call the run function for my application. So I will be just writing app.run. Okay, so this is what I will be doing. Okay, so here my application is basically ready to run. But now again, I need to create some routes for it. Okay, so for testing it, what I will be doing is I will be just writing like @app.route. So I am basically routing my function. So after my localhost is to 5000, if I try to type in /, let's say I am going to give it something called as, maybe within single quote I will be putting /test. Okay, so it means that if after my URL that is generated, I am providing it like /test, okay, then this particular function will be invoked. Okay, and again, what kind of a method we need to put, again we can define it. So from a method perspective, let me put comma, then methods. In methods I am going to put most likely maybe get, and again I will be putting a method of post. Okay, so if I provide these two kind of methods for me now, okay, So I should be able to get something. Cut. Okay. So this is the very first thing that I should be able to get. Okay. Now here, from a method point of view, now I have get and I have post. Okay. So once I have these two methods defined, I can just write def. So I'm just defining a function, and I'm just writing a function as test. Okay. And I will just return something here. So I will just return hello. So here I am just checking if my Flask is working or not. Okay. So once I do this, I can click on the run button that you can see on the top right hand side. Okay. So on the run button, I will click. So once I click here, if you see, I already have I have one IP address with me. So this is localhost 5000. Okay. So I have already my localhost 5000. I will just copy this. Okay. So once I copy this, I can paste it here. Now after this, if I write test, so why I'm writing test, if you see, the function that I am routing it is written as like /test. Okay. So if I'm routing it to this one, it should return me hello, I'm saying. So what I will be doing is, after my server, I will be just providing us / and I will be writing as test. So once I write that, okay, and if I click on enter, you can see I am getting hello. So here if you see, I am getting a hello here, right? So it means that my Flask server is working fine. So okay, now I have my Flask server sorted. Now what I need to do is, I will be now showing you. Okay, so once everything is sorted and I have my Flask server working, right? Now I can go ahead and I can just expose this to my chatbot instance. Now the reason that we are exposing it to our chatbot instance is so that we can go ahead and we can create our code and we can test it at the same time. Okay, so in order to expose this, what we need to do, I will now show you. First you need to go to your again to Google. You need to type NGROK. So NGROK or NGROK that we called is a tunneling service that you can use. So this tunneling service is going to provide you an HTTPS URL which will be limited, which will be like active for certain minutes or hours, and after that it will be disabled. So we use, and so basically it has a paid version. If you use a paid version, you will get the entire facility end to end. Okay. So for our use case, we are just going to use a limited functionality of NGROK. Okay. So I already have NGROK installed with me. So you can go to this URL and it's a very pretty simple installation. Once you do it, I just need to go to my documents, and there I will be finding an NGROK. Okay. So this NGROK, I have installed it here. So once I click here, right, I will be getting something like this. Okay. I can just write CLS to clear everything. I will be just typing. Now if you see very carefully what I am typing here, right? So here I need to type NGROK HTTP and the port number which I want to expose. Now since my Flask application is hosted on port 5000, I will be exposing this. Okay. So once I expose this, you will be seeing I have an HTTPS URL generated. So okay, so I will be copying it. Once I copy it, okay, I will be trying, what I will do is I will just replace this thing with my URL, and after that I will just put underscore, like a /test. So even if I do this, you can see that I'm still getting hello. So it means that it is now exposed properly. Okay, and this is like a good sign to me. So I can say that okay, I am getting something out of it, right? So okay, now this URL that I'm using, okay, this will be something that I will be using, and let me just copy this properly. So this is what I will be using on my fulfillment, like I told you. Later on we'll be coming back here, right? So I will go to my webhook. Here in the URL I will be pasting this URL, and after that underscore I need to provide something. So here I won't provide test, we will use some other webhook, that use some other route that we will be creating. So for now I will name it as webhook. Okay, WEBHOOK. So this we have not created yet, so we have to create this. Okay, so for now what I will be doing is I will be saving it first. Okay, so this webhook has been saved. Okay, now this has been saved, but it won't work. It won't work because we haven't created it on our Flask server yet, right? So for now let me do one thing. It will just fail, I know, but I will still write add 1 and 2. Okay, so currently it has failed. That is why you are getting the default response, and we expected it to fail since we have not created it. I will just click on this diagnostic info because we are going to require it, okay, in order to break our JSON response. So now how I will be doing it, just let's have a look. So the very first thing I will be doing is I will be copying this thing and I will be just pasting it, okay. Instead of test, I will be writing webhook. So this is the particular route that I have also given at my dialog flow fulfillment end, right? So this is why I'm using this, and here I will be just creating one function called as call webhook. Okay, so this is the function that I'm creating. So inside this function, what I will be doing first is, I need to make that particular call. Okay, so to make that call, I will be using one variable req and I will be using the request. So you see I have imported a request class also along with Flask, right? So I will be using this request. So I use request and then I will write dot get JSON, and here I will give two flag values, like silent will be true and force will be equal to true. So this will help me to get my JSON response forcibly even if it fails, okay. And once I have got this, I will be using one more variable called as query result, and in this variable I will be storing my req.get, right? Now here what do we need to get? So let's see our JSON response. So here if you see, within this query result key I have everything mentioned, right? So first I need to fetch this part of the JSON, okay. So that is why first, to receive all this thing into my JSON, I need to first navigate to this query result, okay. So what I will be doing is I will be copying this query result, I will be going to my pie chart, and here within single quotes I will be just giving that query result, okay. So once I have given this, I will type if, okay, and after if I will just write that if query result dot, again I will use get. So again in this get, what I need to check here, I will be checking inside this query result. If you see, there is an action, right? Now this action is what tells me like calculate numbers, right? So if the action is calculate numbers, then only my webhook will work. So that is, I will just copy this action maybe, and let me do one thing. Let me go back to my pie chart. So here I am saying if my get action is equal to, and here in is equal to, I will be mentioning that part from that JSON. So let me go back. I will copy this calculate numbers. So if this is equal to this particular name, then only I will be doing my rest of the actions, okay. So now here what will be the very first action? First is like we will be extracting all the numbers, right? So first I will create one variable called as first number. So I will write first number equal to, okay, and here I can write query result again dot get, okay. So here again in the get part I have to mention what do I need, okay. So here if you see, here I have one parameters key, correct. So within parameters I have my number, and within number I have my first number and I have my second number, correct. So I need to navigate to this parameters, then I need to go to this number and then fetch the first part. So it is pretty much like that. So okay, let's just go here, let's just write parameters, okay. So within parameters, here we can see one more thing, like if within numbers, if I go here, I have a number. Within number, if I go to number, I will just copy this number, okay. So here I will be just writing number, and here I will be writing 0. So since it is at a 0th end, right? So this is the first thing that I got. Similarly, I will just copy paste this. I will use it like second number here, and here instead of 0 I will be writing as 1, right? Now the third parameter that I need to get is the type of operation. So let me rename this as type of operation, and here I can use in the parameters, if I go, there is a type of operation key directly, right? So I can go ahead and I can simply use type of operation. So once I use type of operation, and so here till this part I have basically fetched all my answers, and here what I need to now do is I will be getting one result variable, and in this result variable I will be calling a function that I have not created yet. So this function that I will be creating will basically call my Blue Prism process. Okay, so here I will be mentioning three parameters, num1, basically num2, and I can write something as a type of operation. Okay, so now these three parameters I have defined, but I have not defined this function. So this function I can define somewhere maybe down here. Okay, so I am just writing num1, num2, type of operation. So here I will be not using num1, num2, I'll be using first number, I'll be using second number, and I already have my type of operation. Okay, so these three parameters I have used here. So basically in this function I am using two numbers and one type of operation, and I am mapping all these things to this particular function call that I have made. Okay, so now here what I will be doing is I can go ahead and first I can just mention a URL, right? So this URL is something which will be the URL that I am using for making my calls. So if I go to this part, so here I have my URL, I can simply copy this URL and I can just mention it here. So here I have one URL, then I have a body. So in the body part, okay, what I will be doing is I'll be just simply copying the body that I was getting here. Yes, this body entire thing I'll be copying. And I'm just pasting it here. Okay, so I have a total body with me as well. Now here I will just make some changes. So here I will be just putting some placeholders such as first number. Okay, so this is one thing. Here I will be having a second thing called a second number. So I'm just creating some placeholders which I will be substituting. And here I will be having something like a type of operation. So I am having all these things, and at the very end I'm using a format function. Okay, and in this format function I will be writing first number equal to num1. So that is the parameter that I have used. Then I will be using second number equal to num2. Then I will be using type of operation equal to type of operation. Okay. So basically I have mapped all the variables that I have created till now. Correct. Now once I have done this part, right, I also need to mention the headers. So I will be creating a header variable, and in the header variable I will be creating it as a dictionary type, and in this header variable I need to now mention the content type. So what type of a request content it is, right? So it is like an XML, so I will be just mentioning text / XML, and then I will be putting one semicolon, and then I have to write char set, okay, equal to, and in the char set equal to I can put it as UTF-8. Okay, so this is the particular XML content that will be going, right? So headers also I have mentioned. Now once I have mentioned all these two things, right, I have to also mention an authentication for it. So since it's an authenticated request, right, so for that I need to import one more thing. So also to make an API call I need a library for creating it. Okay, so the library that I will be using is import requests. So I'll be using requests. So request is a library that is used for making some calls. Okay, so if I hover over it, it will ask me to install request. So request is being installed. Also for having some authentication parameter, right, I need to import something from the request library. So if I say from request.auth, then I can write import, and I can write HTTP basic auth. Okay, so I need this basic authentication for HTTP. So now what I can do is I can go down here, okay, and here I can just make the call. So to make the call I will create a variable called as a response, and I will write response equal to request dot get, okay, and I can write request dot not get. I will write request dot request, and in that request dot request I have to first mention what kind of a method it is. So I will write post. It's a post method. So next is the URL that I need to give. So I have the URL with me. After the URL I need to provide the headers. So in the headers I will be just mentioning headers, and after that I also have something called as a data. Okay, so in the data I will be giving body that I have created like a variable, and last is the auth. So in the auth I will be writing http basic auth, and here I need to provide my username first, comma my password. So I have provided both my username and password at this particular point. Okay, so all this data you can take from some configuration file as well when you are creating it on a large scale solution. So for only the demo purpose I am hard coding many of the values that you can see here, and at the very end what I need to do is I need to get the I need to then just parse this particular data into some format. Okay, so for that this is an XML data. So for that I will first require a library to parse my XML. So for that I can write import, and in the import I can write XML to dict. Okay, so this is a library that you can use, XML to dict. Okay, so this is getting installed. So I have dict. So in the dict data what I can do is I can first create a I can first typecast whatever I get into a dictionary, and here in the typecasting what I will be using is XML to dict dot parse, and in the parse I can write response. Okay, so the response that I'm getting dot content. So what content I'm getting out of that response. Okay, I can just mention it here. So okay, so now I have all this thing ready with me. I have my dictionary data. So once I have my dictionary data, now I can simply go ahead and create my result. Like what result do I need? So in my case it's a number, right? 1 plus 3 or maybe 1 minus 3, what I'm getting. So for that, now the very first thing that I need to now see here is like what are the kind of data like what are the parameters that I need to break. So in order to know that, okay, which parameters I will be breaking up. Okay, first what I need to do is I first need to have a look at my response. Okay, if I go here, okay, and if I try to see let me go to my Postman only. So in my Postman if you see, I'm having a look at my response, right? So my response had first a soap envelope. Okay, then it is having a soap body, then it is having a calculation chatbot, then it is having a result, right? So I am having all these kind of parameters that I need to break in order to get the proper response. Okay, so in order to do this now, okay, let's see how we will be getting it. Okay, so first I will be breaking my response into multiple parts. Okay, so the very first thing I will be doing is I will first use dig data. In the dig data I will be first fetching the root node. So the root node in my case, if I go, is soap envelope. Soap is to envelope. This is what I will be getting. I will just copy it. We'll just paste it here. So this soap envelope once I get, okay, dig data. So I need to so this will return me an ordered dictionary. So to get a dictionary out of it, I will just simply typecast it with dictionary. Okay. Now once I have got this data, out of this data, what is the second subnode? The second subnode, there is also one more subnode, right? So that second subnode is something like soap is to body. So I need to get this data now. So one by one I have to fetch every data, okay, like whenever I'm parsing through it. So I got this one. Again I will be converting entire thing into dict. Okay, so here I have 2 dicts. Now again I will be using the third subnode. The third subnode in my case would be the calculation chatbot. That is the name of the process, right? Now again I will be again hard coding it into like typecasting it into dict. So just one second, sorry. Yes. So here I have done this, yeah. So once I have got all this data with me, so now the next part I need to get is the result. Okay, so now if I go to result, okay, so in the result also I have got some data, okay, and I will just convert it into dict. because within result also there is something that we need to pick. Okay, so within result, if you see, there is a within, if I go to result, so yeah, within result I think I don't have anything with me. So what I can do is I can only have my parameters till this part, till result. Okay, so I won't require the last dict, so this dict I won't require. Okay, so yeah, so whatever I get, I am parsing it till I get the result, right? And at the very end I am just going to return this result back. So whatever gets returned from here goes to this part. Okay, that is the result part. And after that, what I need to do is I can just type a fulfillment text. Okay, I'm just creating some variable called as fulfillment text. Here I will write the result of the calculation. So this is what the user will see on his screen, basically. Okay, and here I'm just appending that result that I got here. So now I need to return the JSON response like I told you. Okay, so now this JSON, now in order to create a JSON response, the very first thing I will be creating is a fulfillment text key. Okay, so this key I need to create. Okay, and this key I will be providing the variable fulfillment text, comma, and I will be just providing here source, the second key. So the source is my webhook data. Okay, so this source I have to give as webhook data, and whatever I want to return to the user, I will be just providing it here. So once I have done all of these things, okay, so basically after that I can just try to reset and like rerun my entire process. So I'm just stopping and again rerunning it. So again the new code has been deployed. Okay, and now if I go back to my Dialog Flow chatbot, okay, and if I go back to my Dialog Flow, okay, and in my Dialog Flow, if I try to write subtract 1 and 4, so if you see, currently my process got executed and I got an answer as let me just check, the numbers are 1 and 4, calculating the numbers. Let me just check the default response. Okay, so here I am getting one error. If I see, that is 500 unreachable, right? Let us see what the error is. If I go to the console, it is writing, it is telling me it is coming into a order dict kind of a variable, and it can't be converted into. So if I try to print this result, let's assume. So now I will be rerunning the server again. I will go to my Dialog Flow chatbot. Okay. I'm again trying to do this. 1 and 4. Okay. And if I see my response, so here if you see, I am also getting one more component called as text. Okay, so this is something that is getting parsed. So I also need to provide this text part on my part. So here how I'll do it is, I will again convert it into a dict. Okay, and I will simply just try to write the key as this particular hash text. Okay, so basically this is an order dictionary. It is returning me an order dictionary and I need to pass a string. So while parsing I got this error. So let me now remove the print statement. Let me rerun the server again. So once I rerun it, okay, now if I go back to my Dialog Flow, and if I now try to again, if I now try to write multiply, maybe 65 and let's say 78, okay, and let's see what happens. Okay, and here again I am not able to get it. Just 1 second, let me see. So I got the result. However, the default response is coming as this. And let me just try to see the diagnostic info. So I am getting the webhook status as successful. However, I just need to see if I'm able to get the data out of it. Okay, so here I have this. Okay, so when we come back here, we see that the fulfillment text here, I have kept the spelling as wrong. So I will just make it as fulfillment. So fulfillment, fulfillment text. So if I keep it as this, okay, so here also I'll just make this small change, fulfillment text. I will just try to rerun the code. Okay, and in my dialog flow, if I go here and if I write maybe something, write summation of 1 and 7, let's see. So here if you see, now the result is coming as 8.0. okay, and even if I go to my Blue Prism process right now, and if I go to my studio, let's say I go to my control room, okay, and if I have to look for a process that I've created for this one, so let me just go to some old process, chatbot example, right? So till now I have like if you see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 requests I have done till now, correct? So okay, now let's see what happens if I do one more request. Okay, so I will now try to, let's say, okay, and I will now try to again write maybe something like here, let's see, subtract 1 and 4. Okay, I will go here, I will just click on refresh. Okay, so let's see now, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So you can see like every time whenever I will be now giving anything, basically my Python like my chatbot connector will be interacting with my Blue Prism process, and this is how you will be able to integrate everything end to end. Now for any process that you are going to create, you need to have a server-side language. Now this server-side language is something that is going to help you all to create the process and integrate all of them end to end. So this is what we had to discuss today. So if you guys like this content, do subscribe to my channel, do press that like button, and let me know what other use cases you want to see going ahead in the future. Till then, thank you everyone.